Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ashley. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Signifyd, as well as your moderator for this next session. We are in the home stretch of the Flow Summit, so thanks for sticking with us. While this is one of our last sessions, it certainly won't be the least. I am very excited to welcome our two guest panelists today. We have Paul, who is the president of One Rockwell, and Belle, who is the senior project manager at One Rockwell. Welcome, Paul and Belle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
Awesome. I would love to have you both introduce yourselves a little bit more to the audience and tell us a little bit about who you are, your role at One Rockwell, and maybe just a little bit about the company in general.
Sure. I'm Paul Healy, and I'm a founder and the president of One Rockwell at the moment. One Rockwell is a full service agency. We started 10 years ago. We started very much looking at building on managed code environments, Magento, and a couple of old school platforms. But in the last 5 years, we've become a full-time Shopify Plus agency. We don't just design sites, we really build solutions. So it's more about working with clients who have long-term objectives. Doesn't matter how big they are, but we want to be partners with them. We've got a very strong managed services program. So most of our clients stay on board and we grow their sites and their brands over the course of our relationship with them. We were centered in New York. We're still East Coast based, but COVID has kind of made us all distribute a little bit. And all the work we do is in-house. We don't outsource anything. So we take pride in making sure our design and our development and the UX and managed services all work as a well-oiled machine. And with that in mind, I brought Belle along, who's one of our senior project managers who runs a lot of the projects we do. And she's some great experience. And I thought it'd be good to bring her along because she's really the one that enacts and does a lot of the day-to-day work with our clients to make their sites and their experiences better. So she has some good insight. Belle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So as Paul said, my name's Belle. Been working at One Rockwell for a few years now, actually. I actually work on both the design and build and the managed services team. So I get to see sort of all spectrums, all different kinds of projects. And so I work with a whole variety of clients, some short-term for just some like design projects, right through to long-term managed services clients. And I've seen a few clients, come to us and they'll build a site and then they end up staying on with me throughout managed services. And so we really do have that long-term relationship. And as Paul said, I kind of see it all on the ground, dealing with clients and chatting to clients all day, every day. So super excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. So I'd love to start with some of the trends you all have been seeing from within your own four walls. So you're very fortunate to work hand in hand with many very impressive brands. I'm curious, how have the needs of those brands changed over the last year specifically? Like, what do you find yourself working on more and more?
From my perspective, a kind of a higher kind of view of the trends. Everyone wants to get quick to market and make your life easier and more seamless. So developing and delivering quicker, making incremental steps towards what you need to do and meeting your customers where they are means that there is a lot of investment in infrastructure and features that allowed for, or these infrastructure allowed for features to be developed. I think one example of that was I worked with Carhartt, work in progress, to deliver infrastructural changes that allow them to show where their inventory is available or the levels of inventory available. So a small feature on the front end, say how many items left in stock and where, is actually something we have to build a lot of infrastructural tools to allow them to get that kind of 360 view of their inventory. So bringing information to the client where they need it and when they need it was very important. Being more detailed, customers can't go physically into shops. So anything that allowed customers to have more of a tactile feel of a product or get more insight, more descriptions, descriptions that are searchable or reviews that are searchable or taggable. Anything that allows a customer gain more in understanding about a product was definitely where we saw trends, and meeting the customer where they are. Of course, a BOPIS type style, but also anything that would allow them to shop without a hitch or without a hindrance is important. So offering different type of payment options or shipping options or pick up in store type options or curbside pickup type options all came into the fore across the last year.
Sure.
Yeah, I think as a PM, as I said, I work with a whole variety of clients, and what I've really seen as a bit of a trend is when obviously the pandemic hit, it was a huge change that we all had to adapt really quickly to. And in the past, I feel like a lot of brands sort of activations and sort of unique experiences were always in store, and people would always go in store to experience these kinds of things. And when the pandemic hit, brands really had to pivot quickly to figure out how they could bring those unique brand experiences online. And so I think three things that I really saw as like a common theme as a PM were live streaming, whether that be live streaming on the actual website or whether it be like across social media channels, Instagram lives, TikTok lives, all of those sorts of things. We saw a huge growth in that. I also saw that customer service was a big one, which I think we'll probably chat about in a little bit more detail a bit later on. But, thinking about how you can service your customers now that they're at home and they can't necessarily go into stores. And I also found that buy online, pick up in store in whatever form that may take. And it could be that people see stock online and they go on store to have a look at it and then purchase it in store, whether it be I'm actually going to purchase it online and then do a curbside pickup. So those are probably some of the biggest trends that I saw reoccurring throughout not only my clients, but also some of the other PMs that I work with as well.
And in your perspective of what you've seen from the last year, what do you feel like is truly here to stay versus just a pandemic fad? Do you feel like live streaming and this focus on curbside and BOPUS are here to stay for the long term?
Your first bell.
I feel like things like live streaming, I do feel like they're kind of a now moment sort of thing, and that they will sort of tail out. I know that we're all working from home pretty much, and we have that, the saying of like Zoom fatigue. And I think that those sorts of things were really, really exciting to begin with. And I think we're going to see them grow over the next couple of months. But I think that once we're sort of back out in like the real world, these sorts of things will move back into store. I do think that, really great customer service and buy online, pick up in store and sort of online to offline experiences, that they're both definitely here to stay. Whereas, as I said, I feel like the live streaming, I definitely think it's going to be around in some capacity, and I'm sure we'll see it evolve into a whole new different kind of shape in the future. But I don't think it's going to be like a long term thing. But buy online, pick up in store, I think we're only just seeing the beginning of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think from a kind of, again, a higher level point of view, the clients that, took the pandemic as a reason, and they saw the need to make e-commerce a central component of our channel. What I mean by that is a lot of clients or people or brands out there have always looked or have looked in the past as e-commerce as an add-on channel or something we have to deal with and we have to service the e-commerce channel. And I trust me, a lot of times you get requirements for things on site or to fix problems with the business. So if I have an inventory problem or a customer service problem or issues with how I run the business, the website will fix that. I'll put additional customer service on the website, or the website will handle all the inventory management of disposition or where the inventory is available, or the website can take care of X, Y, or Z. Making e-commerce a central channel, making it the foundational channel of how you run your business was essential during the pandemic. Your brick and mortars are closed. I don't see that changing. I see, the clients and the customers who really understood that e-com is going to be a more a connective tissue as a channel rather than just another channel how you do your business, and using it for its strengths. So as a communication channel, as a way to really understand your customer, as a way to better service your in-store customers when they are allowed to come in store. Those are the clients who took advantage of e-com and made it a component part of how they do business rather than an add-on channel or something we have to service, are the ones I think are going to do well out of the pandemic, because they put the foundational building blocks into how they run their business and made it more attuned to the digital market. That's going to help them in the long run with and do pop-up shops, open new stores, meet the customer with new marketing initiatives. all the things they're going to learn during the pandemic, they took it if they took it the right way and they took advantage of some of the work they have to do to make their they service their clients during the pandemic. I think that'll stand them a good stead going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. And maybe along that same vein, so I know you both work with a lot of fashion clients. Of course, was a vertical that was hit pretty heavily during the pandemic, unless you were selling certain types of clothing, unless you were selling athleisure. So maybe what can you say about those clients who did get through the pandemic the best? What were they doing really well?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of Swiss cheese for some of our clients, and the industries in general. As you say, if you happen to be selling tops, you did much better than client that was selling bottoms. Just because that's the way it goes. But yeah, I think any client that really embraced their customers as their and trusted their customers and really were honest and open and forthright with their customers. We all lived through the pandemic. We're living through the pandemic. So it's pre-pandemic, you didn't want to say your product was going to be delayed from shipping. You kind of managed it through customer service. But honesty and openness and getting your customers to buy into your brand and by being more open with them, I think stood our clients in good stead. So if your shipping was going to take a week longer, make it well known in your emails and make a point of it on your site and be open and honest with your customers. We didn't see people dropping off. We saw more loyalty when customers were treated with respect and being open and honest with them. And we see that loyalty continuing. The customers who tried to, or the clients who tried to pretend that wasn't a problem, or manage it with throwing a coupon or doing the things you would have done before to manage a slow delivery like that, it didn't really work in the pandemic. And I think also the type of promotions you're running, you have to be sensitive to what people are going through. You can't be just fire sale everything, must go, and buy this, buy that. Over commercialization, which is kind of ridiculous when you're talking about e-commerce. But you have to kind of be truthful and honest and open, and maybe instead of doing a promotion that benefits you, maybe it was to benefit the local hospital or local nurses, or you chew up your round up your totals to give money to the PPE suppliers. So we saw the clients that were really embraced their relationship with their customers, the ones that are really going to, I think, stand in good stead after the pandemic is well and truly finished, if it ever finished.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also feel that the clients that I work with, those that were able to adapt quickly and pivot their strategies, were the ones that we really saw had the most success, regardless of what sort of vertical or what industry that they were in. Any client that was sort of willing to try something out of the norm that they might not have considered in the past, any client that was willing to do that really did see that kind of success. We saw a few clients launch like a buy online, pick up in store, even fashion clients, because at the start, even though the pandemic has gone on for over a year now, we really were all hopeful that come summer last year we would have been wearing really great outfits. So I think people were hopeful and they were looking for those, so even fashion brands had the opportunity to sort of capitalize on that at that point in time. And then I also think that clients that were able to bring those in-store experiences online were really successful. Like I have one client, for example, and it's a skincare brand, and most skincare brands, you get to go in store and they could say, maybe try this for your skincare line, maybe give this a go if you're having issues with acne or whatever it might be. And they had to pivot really quickly to figure out how can we get those customers to come to shop with us online. And one of the ways that we solved that problem for them was to launch a live chat with skincare specialists. So you could chat in and say, hey, these are my issues, this is what I'm looking for. And then alongside of that, we also built them a regimen finder, so they could you could type in all of your answers and then it will give you like a personalized regimen. And they were really quick to adapt these technologies, and that saw them having huge success. And now those features are on their site to stay. So I think that regardless of sort of the vertical that clients were in, if you were able to adapt quickly and then also be willing to try some new technologies, those are the ones that we saw had great success. And it's not just going to be the success that they saw last year, it's going to continue through, and they can continue building on to these sort of features that we've built them.
What client was that, Belle? We should probably mention.
It was Zero Skin Health.
Oh, yeah, great product. Yeah.
Plug.
So maybe switching gears a little bit and thinking about looking forward. So at Signifyd, we're able to see through our network how spending fluctuates at different times of the year. We look at kind of our e-commerce Super Bowl events like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, most recently watching the stimulus payments hit and seeing how that affects sales in our network. So more new users coming online, sales going up, average order value going up. And right now it very much feels like we're on the cusp of a more normal life, right? Vaccine availability is widespread. People are making plans. I have weddings that I think I'm actually going to go to. There's kind of this rumor of the roaring 20s coming back, or this other term, which I love so much, I think it's so funny, that we're referring to as revenge spending happening by consumers who were over the last year not spending and just kind of padding their bank accounts and have this wealth of savings that now they're just pent up and ready to spend. So maybe like in thinking about this and this kind of potential trend around the corner, what could or should merchants be doing right now to prepare for that? Is there anything they can be doing to get themselves ready for another e-commerce Super Bowl event?
Yeah, I would say it as, you're going to be putting all your system under strain. Where's the bottleneck? Where is it going to blow a gasket? What systems can be automated, again, freeing up your team to do what they should be doing, not necessarily the manual tasks that are repetitive that take up all their time. So looking at areas that making your team and your business as efficient as possible. One area with regards to that, and we did a big project for Vera Bradley this year in that regard, is making sure the site is as quick as possible. If your traffic goes up, your sales increase, all the systems are going to be more heavily impacted by any sort of major traffic spike. So making sure there's no or as little bottlenecks as possible, making sure the site works as quickly as possible. We were lucky enough working with Vera that because of who they are and how big they are, we had a bit of an outweighed kind of ability to ask other third parties to do things for us. So we're very lucky to be partnered with Bold. They're a great partner. We build a lot of apps, and we used a large number of them on the Vera site. We worked with them to consolidate all their apps into one delivery payload that we could then engineer into the right place and deliver on the right portion of a page when needed to make the site work a lot quicker. So things like that make huge increases and gains in the speed and efficiency of the site, and never mind the back office automation we've also had to build into their process. Those kind of things will allow for any sort of future spikes or traffic not be affected adversely from the success. So you want people on your site, you want huge sales happening, but you don't want it to be adversely affecting the experience that they're having. So to focus now on making your site as quick and as efficient as possible. Frictionless is important for a customer when they're checking out, but it's also important for a company who's running a business, making sure that there's no bottlenecks. You automatically capturing, say, credit card or gift cards if they need to be automatically captured. Things that make sense and are causing a bottleneck in your business now are going to get worse. So if you've got ability and you've got the time, make it as efficient and quick as possible. And one last thing on speed, I see a lot of people clients ask, make my site quicker. And sure, make your site quicker. It takes money and investment, but it's not a one-time thing. Apps are changing all the time. Third parties are changing. They release new code. You work on Shopify a lot. They update their platform with new functionality features. So it should be a part of your practice to reassess and benchmark and try and achieve and keep achieving those new benchmark goals for speed and efficiency from the site perspective.
Yeah, I would also like to add to that, maybe on like a bit of a flip side to it, is that while it's super exciting that things are going to start opening up and we're all going to be doing a bit of revenge spending, which I will totally admit has been me in the past couple of weeks, because I'm like, summer's coming, I need to get my wardrobe stocked up. Things are a bit different these days. But also knowing that this sort of revenge spending and this period of time is only going to last for so long, and that there is no point, A, like throwing away all of the hard work that we did last year to come up with these long-term strategies, and B, that we still have to continue looking forward. So it's not like after this revenge spending period, then we're all done with e-commerce, like let's move on. But this is just going to be, maybe like a slight peak in sales, which is going to be super exciting for any brand that experiences that, but also that we still need to think long term. And there's no point getting too caught up in, how many features can we spin up on the site right now to make sure we hit those numbers. But like, if we're going to spin up a feature and it's only going to help us increase our sales by X% for like such a small period of time, maybe it's not worth the investment when we can look longer term and add something to the site that's going to be beneficial, like site speed optimization long term, rather than just spinning up like a gift with purchase or something like that that's only going to help us for like such a small period of time. So my biggest thing that I've been sort of reiterating with clients is that we need to prepare for this time when spending may go up, but also be prepared that this needs to continue like long term. We don't want to get caught up with the revenge spending and then just hasta la vista. We want to make sure that it really does stay with us and we continue to build out our long-term strategies.
Sure. So maybe outside of the revenge spending, what other trends are you all kind of anticipating for e-commerce in general for either the short or long term?
Yeah, I think that two that I mentioned before, which I think are going to increase, like continue to increase, are customer service and also buy online, pick up in store. And customer service, I think, was a really big one last year, because I think that brands had to think about not only, one of the biggest trends that we saw last year was chatbots and a chat feature on the site, and it was really easy for brands to just sort of add these features. There's so many great third parties that you can work with that you can add these features really quickly, but does that mean that you're actually like servicing your customer? Maybe not. And it might not just be that you can just throw up a chatbot and then be good to go. Like, for example, I know that I personally love chatting. When I have to talk to customer service, I will do anything in my power to not pick up the phone and have to call someone. Whereas my parents are the total opposite. They do not understand how to use a chatbot, and they will, call me and they get really frustrated and they just want to pick up the phone. So I think that, long term, brands need to think about customer service, and it's not just something that they have to deal with. It's actually can be turned into a sales channel. And I have seen in the past where brands have used these sort of chatbots really well, and it actually has turned them into a sales channel. So I think that is here to stay. And the biggest thing for me for customer service is it's not just, throw something up, one size fits all, we're good to go. It's how can we service multiple sort of customer segments and multiple personas of our customers using customer service. So I think that's a huge one. And I think buy online, pick up in store, maybe it won't be curbside pickup long term, because maybe we don't necessarily want to do that anymore. But I think that, being able to do things like see what inventory is in store. I know that I absolutely hate waiting for shipping. I am so impatient that I know that I've like trained myself that if I can't get the package tomorrow, I'm like, oh, do I really want to purchase it? So making sure that we do have that frictionless experience from online to offline, so that I can purchase online and then go pick it up in store tomorrow, as opposed to like waiting for shipping. So I do think that the customer service piece and the buy online, pick up in store, whatever sort of shape that takes, they're here to stay for sure.
Yeah. And what would I do definitely want to kind of click into the customer service piece there and improvement of customer journeys. I think this is definitely a main theme for us today for this event specifically. So what would your advice be to a merchant looking to improve their customer experience or improve customer journeys? How would you guide them? What advice would you give?
Well, kind of, again, in more general advice, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, I can't afford this absolutely amazing system, so I can't do anything. Incremental improvements are important, and always focusing on making those small steps to get you where you want to get to. I think sometimes it'd be daunting. Somebody say, okay, I can't offer that level of service, so I can't do anything. And I think correct. I think mistakes I see is sometimes people be shying away from even just making incremental improvements because where they want to get to so far above where they are now. You won't get there unless you start the journey. So what I would say is people who are reticent because they can't get it exactly right aren't going to be dealing with it as well as clients who say understand there's a problem, understand they need to get better at customer service. And maybe the first step is having a more easily readable reviews or a better fit chart because it means that they're going to reduce their customer service overhead. So analyzing the data to understand why you have a bottleneck or why there's a problem, and then doing incremental steps to fix that problem is something you can do, and especially smaller clients, you're not going to have the budget to spend all your budget in one area, and making sure you make best use of your budget is important then to not overcommit in any one area, because you kind of have to raise the capability across the whole business landscape. So I see clients who don't are fearful of any sort of forward momentum if they can't get the exactly right thing. Aren't the ones that are going to do well, especially when they're growing their brand. So I would say don't be scared of not getting it totally right, but stepping towards the right solution or gaining more data to give you insights to see where your customer is expecting. It's not, you might presume a customer wants something, but it isn't always true. So for example, when I was talking about getting more data points on why people are returning items, might mean that you might need to describe the product better, so you might need more copy, or it might need you need to have better reviews, because maybe you want customers to exchange information about how they fit, their product fits them. So it's incremental improvements I think are important, but also listening to your customer and understanding where they're coming from to try and meet them from their perspective halfway.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think as well, not getting so caught up in the biggest industry trend, which is hard to do because there's so much marketing communication around it, but in the end, clients aren't going to be able to do everything regardless of how big or small the client is. You're always going to have to sort of pick and choose things to do. So I think not getting so caught up in what the biggest industry trend is and actually looking at what, as Paul said, like what your brand and what your clients need. We often use, heat maps and things like that, just to have a look at how people are shopping online. And it really could be the smallest tweak makes a big difference. For example, we had one client that came to us and we were doing a bit of a rebuild, and they said to us, search is really important, but we don't feel like we have a great search feature. And we just focused really on that search feature, and that was like the key piece behind the build. And now they have great search results, and so many people are using it, and we can see that in the heat maps. And so I think it's not always, as Paul said, like looking big term. It could be moving a button slightly, or it could be switching two things around just so that it's a little bit easier for someone to access. And those improvements make such a big change in the customer journey. And it's not always having to add a buy online, pick up in store or a see stock in store kind of feature, which can be, sometimes expensive and time consuming for brands if they don't have a huge team. So I think that not getting caught up in those big trends and also just looking at the small incremental changes really does make a big change overall.
Definitely. Yeah, baby steps are important.
Yeah, exactly.
Meeting the customer where they're at. There's another project I thought of it, when we did some work on from my side, one of our clients, to make their mobile experience more easily usable with using one hand, so you can shop and check out one-handed. So the idea that people are on mobiles, people are always on the mobile, but make it even easier when you're on your mobile is something you can do. And obviously you mentioned earlier, speed is a very, very important part of mobile, but the ergonomics of it are also changing all the time. So reassess, look at your data, look at where people are using or touching your site, or how they're accessing your site, and focus on making those parts frictionless, and focus on putting the budget where it makes the most difference. I think is probably most important, because some of their preconceptions about how people are using your site, or how people perceive your product, or the demographic differences of how they check out, or how they what tools they use. it mightn't necessarily be a one-size-fits-all approach as well. And we see a lot of clients these days that are doing successfully, say, part payment. They offer multiple part payments. You know, people have preferences to say Affirm versus Klarna versus maybe Sezzle now is a new one, where if you don't have, if you're younger demographics, you don't have a capacity to have, you know, get loans or use the other part payment systems. It means you give them a tool or allow them to shop in that kind of frictionless way as well. So they're not necessarily always a one-size-fits-all approach to even the features you're doing. You might need to offer multiple approaches to each your features you're offering your clients, your customers.
Definitely, yeah. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. Paul, thank you so much for joining. It was such a pleasure. We really appreciate you having attending our conference today. I know everybody listening in appreciates your very sound advice. If anybody listening has any questions for Belle or Paul after this, you can find them on LinkedIn and send them a message, and I'm sure they'd be happy to lend any of their advice through that channel as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.